So while I am about 15 months too late, I'm very excited with the team expansion to introduce one of our newest agents, Stephen Field. I think it's a great story about how you came to work on the team, Stephen. If I recall, it started with an offer I gave to you back in, I believe, September of 2023. Am I correct?
Definitely right. I think it actually began when Jason and I were vacationing in Provincetown unbeknownst to each other, and we had a couple of chance encounters and finally spent an evening talking. And a few weeks later, when we got back to New York, Jason took me out and he said, I think I would like you to not retire and join my real estate team. And that was sort of a no-brainer for me because I'd known Jason for the better part of 20 years. He'd handled all of my real estate transactions, and I thought, well, this is beginning at the top of the industry, so let's do it.
So Stephen is not just a repeat client, he's a very successful investor, a highly profitable one. So I also think that would be a good segue to discuss, what's unique maybe about this business model that the team operates under, and how you were able to come onto the team with no experience and pretty immediately, make a pretty strong contribution.
Yeah, I tell people that it wasn't that I didn't have experience per se. I mean, yes, in sales, I had never worked as a broker before, but all of the years of investment really informed what I was able to bring to the team. But I also come from a real estate family. In California, both my parents were involved with real estate. My dad was a mortgage broker at one point. So it's kind of like, it's in the blood. You feel like, you know what you're doing. And
I always say growing generational wealth is one of our most important, jobs. And so it's always nice to be able to relate to the clients for obvious reasons. What do you have to say to maybe, entice anyone to come and work with us? What's unique, you think, about
I think what
us?
makes our team unique is the fact that, first off, that we all have an incredible rapport with each other. But the way that translates to the customer experience is that you always have a team of people working on whatever your needs are. We have people at all different levels with all different backgrounds that really create sort of a symbiotic experience that allows our transactions to be really very seamless.
We don't have free agents like most big teams. Everyone on our team actually works on everything simultaneously, which is a credit to our communications internally. But I think it's also exciting because, as Stephen says, you have X, Y, Z experience, you're going to relate to so-and-so, and if there's a hole, well, there's someone else right around the corner.
That's absolutely true.
I know you don't like to discuss your age. Stephen has been 30. Stephen has been 32 for a few years now. I do think, to be serious for a moment, it's so exciting to have a different perspective on the team. Because
it is, and I think one of the benefits of our team is that we have now 4 agents, brokers, working, and each one of us represents almost a different generation. There's 10 years between our ages, and I think that gamut really shows in the way that we all approach the different situations that we encounter.
One thing I also think that's great about what we do is, whether we're on the sales side or the buy side, we're always projecting futures, and looking to where the next best thing or the next upside may be. When you've been around as long as we have, 32 years, you've actually seen changes, and therefore you can speak with conviction about, oh, I saw that pattern. Bushwick looks exactly like Chelsea in the 80s or whatever. Speaking of dynamic changes in neighborhoods in Bushwick, that's not a random reference, is it, for you?
It definitely is not a random reference. For many years, I owned a condominium in the West Village, which Jason rented and assisted with for many years. But at a certain point, he took me out and he said, I feel like we should sell this condominium and you should reinvest in Brooklyn. And I was curious and I said, okay, well, where? And he said Bushwick, and I thought it was actually a joke for a moment because I didn't understand the concept of selling a high-end condominium in the West Village and reinvesting into what I thought was a really compromised market in Brooklyn. Jason took me out and showed me, and I ended up actually reinvesting in Bushwick, which was probably the greatest investment of my entire life.
Real estate isn't the only part of your existence. Obviously, there are other careers and industries you've dabbled in. I believe we both came to the city essentially for the same purpose, right?
This is one more thing that we have in common. Jason and I both came from a background of theater. I was in musical theater. Jason trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts? Royal Academy of Music, wow. I went to the
We're
American
both
Musical...
singers.
We're both singers, so we both came from a musical theater background. And then after I left the arts, I went into hospitality, working as a hotel concierge. And I think that we both found that all of these different careers definitely play into what we do and contribute to making us successful.
You know, we don't really get to enjoy our musical paths too much, but in our professional experience, but it certainly contributes to our conversations around the office.
It certainly does. We definitely have many musical moments around the office.
We are a highly pro art team. So I think that wraps it up. I'm so thrilled that you've taken the time to speak to
Thank you.
everyone in our network. And if you have any questions about real estate, you know that there's not just me to call. You've met other agents on the team. We did a video with Amara Fish, my most senior agent. But I'm so excited that we've had a chance to do this. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.